And hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Pumpkin Copter Cast, the only video game show. So today I am joined by two people who have been working on this game that I found out about literally last week, thanks to Laura Kate Dale and her promoting of things. We're here to talk about. Now, you should know I'm infamous for getting words wrong. So, Heart of Enya.
You
Mm-hmm.
got it. That's right.
Okay, good. So, yeah, how about the two of you introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Phi. I was an artist, QA tester, and a bunch of other stuff on the game Heart of Enya.
Yeah, hi, I'm Charles. I was the main producer for Heart of Enya.
Okay, and so, uh, wrong button. So yeah, well, I guess start with. So, Phi, how did you first discover video games?
Uh, Let me think. I first got into video games, I guess. I've kind of been playing games all my life. My parents got me into educational games when I was really young, and that's kind of how I learned how to read and stuff. But I first started really getting into them around when I was 10. My parents got me a Wii for I don't remember. I want to say it was like my birthday or something, and I just immediately was like, wow, I really like playing video games. And I kind of fell out of touch with them around middle school, early high school, but I got back into them and I was like, wow, I feel like video games are a really unique medium and I want to be able to make something using them.
Yeah. My parents were also into video games. Specifically, my dad is a huge nerd, and I remember looking over his shoulder a lot as he played like Half-Life and other early shooters and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, getting a lot of childhood nightmares from the various buggies and zombies in those games. Um, but I actually first played a ton of video games. Actually with early strategy games like Age of Mythology and the free arcades that they have because there's a lot of user generated content on there. So sort of just diving into that and not Wrath of the Lich King, but the Frozen Throne expansion for Warcraft 2, infamous for being the originating place of Dota. But I honestly didn't play a lot of Dota and played a lot of the weird other they had Sims in Warcraft. It was rad.
Huh.
Um, that's where I got my start.
Okay, and I guess yeah. So yeah, what would the two of you say was your favorite game and/or games growing up?
Mine was definitely Paper Mario for the GameCube. I really like that game. I
Me
think
too.
it's really
Mm-hmm. A classic.
Oh.
Um, I have fond memories, maybe not from specifically my childhood, but the game that sort of opened the door for me, um, considering games as a wider medium, was probably Supergiant Games Bastion, which was their first title. Because the I don't know, the story and narration in that really enthralled me.
Okay. And what would the two of you say is your favorite game and/or games now?
probably the same. I don't know. I think it's a lot of it's nostalgia for spending a lot of time playing games when I was younger. But that stands out to me. I play a lot of other games now that are probably I don't want to make objective qualitative judgments, but are probably more in line with the kind of things that I like today. But just stuff from my childhood will always kind of hold a special place in my heart.
Yeah. I kind of have a cheat answer here with Dungeons and Dragons because hey, boy, I I spend an undue amount of time playing that as a tabletop role-playing game.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of like video games and stuff, I always go back to Terraria, um, as it has changed over its development with several patches and things, and it's kind of grown into a soft spot in my heart. Um, but yeah,
Okay. And, just hypothetically, if, an actual apocalypse wasn't still in the process of happening at the time of this recording, in the year of our Lord Arceus, like, 2021, and, like, conventions like PAX were a thing that could happen, and, just some random person, possibly dressed as Dr. Eggman, walked by your booth and asked, like, what Heart of Enya is. Like, what would be the elevator pitch you'd give him?
it's the Caring Campfire RPG. It's about you play as a campfire, and it is that quintessential experience of adventures, resting after a long day of battling, trading stories, and finding comfort in each other's company around a campfire, eating soup. And that's sort of like the experiential um, elevator pitch of it. But if I was to do a longer form elevator pitch, it's about guiding a group of adventurers as they fight basically a sentient blizzard at an outpost on the edge of the world, and guiding them tactically through strategic Fire Emblem-esque combat or Mega Man Battle Network or what have you as our various inspirations, tile turn-based combat, and then retreating back to the campfire and taking part in a wonderfully heartfelt narrative story that unfolds as the backgrounds of these various characters comes to light as they open up to each other and gain strength from the shared bonds that they form with each other in the form of fire magic that they use to keep each other safe. And also eating soup.
Can't forget about the soup.
Can't forget about the soup. Yeah, is there anything I missed, Phi?
No, I think that's pretty good. I'd say that's a pretty solid description of the game.
Yeah.
Okay. So, just where did the idea come from? Because, like, it just kind of grabbed me right away. Just again, as I was scrolling through Laura K. Dale's, like, recommendation of games people ought to have. Like, it's a campfire spirit. I see that the campfire is also a person. Or the person is the campfire. I don't know. And the people are talking to the campfire. Like, it's the grown-up version of, like, that candle from the Animaniacs that told the story about Paul Revere. I'm not sure who's going to get that reference nowadays, but there you go.
Oh yeah, that takes me back. But yes, that's the player character Will-O-Wisp.
Oh.
Or Willow.
Yeah.
It is just Willow.
I'm pretty sure it's Willow. I'm pretty sure it's Will-O-Wisp, but like
Okay.
Willow for short.
Yeah.
I assume Wisp is like a last name equivalent in the Heart of Enya-verse.
But yeah, so our sort of person on the team that was our creative director, who had the original pitch, is Tino, who was also she was also our technical director.
She also, I think, workshopped the pitch a lot with Gigi, who is our art director, and the two of them kind of worked to like solidify this pitch and direction. And so this game was created as part of our senior project. So they pitched the game to us. So they would say it's their vision. Our team's about 13 people. So yeah.
Yeah, and it was all people that saw this pitch and were like, hell yeah, we want to get in on this. Um,
Exactly.
and the art chain definitely did evolve over time and whatnot, iteration. So the from what they've described in our development process, a lot of that comes from the sort of quintessential Dungeons and Dragons, and very specifically from Dark Souls and the Bonfire. That sort of experiential break in a dangerous world, and sort of trying to distill that experience down into trying to find like what do we find so meaningful about that experience, and how do we elaborate on that into a full game idea. So Dark Souls, of course, and also sometimes with the combat mechanics and such with Darkest Dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
We sort of have a at death's door mechanic where a person goes to 0 hit points, and they are reduced to at death's door, and they have to retreat back to the campfire. Um, and also smaller things in the combat, such as like being mostly positional based, from Mega Man Battle Network. And of course, an obvious comparison would be Fire Emblem to our sort of tile based movement and combat. Um, but yeah, do you think there's any huge inspiration that I'm missing from that sort of rattle off? I do also know that the costume design of the character design of the four adventures is also based off of Dark Souls sort of like dark fantasy aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
Uh,
sounds about right. I'm pretty sure I remember Banner Saga being a reference for
yes,
specifically the like the SRPG segments, specifically how they're laid out and how that structure.
also, I just remembering now, one of our design philosophies was aiming for small numbers, low numbers, and that comes from God. I think that's also Paper Mario.
Sounds
Is
about
it?
right, yeah.
Yeah. So everything's in the single digits in terms of stats and abilities, to keep things sort of well communicated and streamlined.
Um. Okay, so I saw when I checked out the trailer and the screenshots that you know all my viewer will be able to see as they will listen to this that it, like you said, it's top down strategic type style game, and part just talking with Will-O-Wisp and seeing what these young people are doing, what with all their adventures and whatnot. So, what is what is the ratio of, like, I don't know, fighting these scary things that I'm looking at right now and just chilling out the campfire trying to figure out what's going on?
Uh,
Hmm.
Basically, I'd say it kind of the game functions in like day and night cycles.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is the characters are trying to leave this outpost that they're stuck at, and in order to do that, they have to start like raining down the blizzard of frost monsters outside. So they spend the daytime trying to reduce their numbers, and then at night they return to the outpost and sit around the campfire and like have like talk with each other and like deal with their own issues and talk about why they're there in the first place and stuff like that. So I'd say it's a pretty even split. It
Mm-hmm.
really kind of depends, I guess, uh, how long you can stay alive outside, waiting down the numbers of the frost, how much time you spend doing each.
Yeah, in terms of like content, there is one sort of battle per. I mean, you go back and forth, so it is split pretty 50-50. But if you like button slam through the dialogue and get beat up really quickly by the frost and have to retreat quickly, either of those segments could go a lot faster, but they could also go a lot slower depending on how you go. I would say that experientially. Um, uh, there's many people that will get much more out of the narrative aspect of the game, and it's hard to. There is a lot to the narrative, so I'd say that's definitely a core part of it. And But there is also a nice substantive amount of tactical combat in the game as well. So I'd say about 50-50.
Okay. And as someone who knows nothing about, how wizards like yourselves take, technologies and like press buttons and make video games happen, like how long from like idea to like finished product did, this game take
I
total?
think
Yeah,
about a year and a half, right?
I can give down a pretty detailed breakdown though, because development officially began at the beginning of the winter quarter in January, so like January 5th or 4th, some
But
such.
didn't I think Tino and Gigi were working on a prototype even before then?
Yeah. Tino had
Yeah.
been working on her prototype the summer before that, and then
Hmm.
additional like more intensive prototyping and brainstorming and building the pitch out during September, October, November, and December, leading up to the pitches. And then we finalized and formed as a team in early January to later January as the interviews and such went on. We had our first substantive playtest build mid March, I believe. Yeah, that sounds about right. About mid March, and then had basically most of the game, like 98% of it done, 95% of it done by the end of June during our uh, end of the school year for our college, and being showcased in our little like end of year class presentation event. Of course, done remote due to the pandemic. And then since graduation, we've been working on it low key, doing additional bug fixing, adding some nice quality of life features. How we have some new music tracks and stuff that we've added in. But I'd say the core of the game was finished, God, in like 6 months. January, February, March, April, May, June. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely right. And then I guess the year around that was spent on polish and getting a prototype together.
Yeah, but there's the
The main core
development.
development was about 6 months.
Yeah, the development extends in prototyping and out to post production, like 6 months before that and 6 months after that, though.
Okay. And and was there any part of like the game's development that you found gave you the most trouble, or was it a relatively like even process from start to finish?
I'd
Well,
say
the
things in
the
general.
quarantine wasn't fun.
Yeah, generally things went according to schedule, but quarantine really screwed us over. And also, our school was not properly paying our TAs, so they had to go on strike. And in solidarity, we elected to not meet in person on campus, and that kind of threw a wrench in our plans for a while too. And then that got interrupted by the pandemic, so we made the game almost entirely remote and didn't actually have a lot of in-person meets. And I think that kind of was a bit of a struggle in our development process too.
Yeah, I got it on the calendar. We're gonna have hot pot as a team sometime. I swears it. But
Absolutely.
it's been a long time since I've seen these nerds face to face, and that's been rough. I definitely, in terms of like crunch and working overtime or fretting about that sort of thing, because we had such a large team that worked well together, a solid pitch behind it, and a constrained scope, development actually went pretty swimmingly, even considering the pandemic. Um, and we didn't have to crunch at any particular stage of the game. Sometimes we did have to scope down in terms of what features we wanted, and not everything that we wanted made it into the game, but they were relatively painless losses um, in the larger scheme of things. And definitely the hardest thing is I haven't been able to see my good close friends in a long while.
Okay. And yeah, and looking at the screenshot of a fighty part right now and looking at the scurry ice monsters, and are they based off of anything, or are they just like, I don't
Oh yeah,
uh,
this is 100% Phi.
Yeah, I was the artist for the enemies.
mm-hmm,
I took a lot of inspiration from we looked at specifically like natural ice formations like glaciers, and
mm-hmm,
I wanted to kind of give them like a very like kind of like pristine artificial kind of feeling, so they don't they look like kind of like but I still wanted to give them like the feeling of like both combining like ice cold, which is something that's not alive but something that can, when you look at it, it doesn't read as an ice cube, it reads as a creature.
mm-hmm,
So I remember looking specific, we definitely decided that we wanted to avoid having them as like creature, as like more like creature and less like animalistic or whatever, because we thought that like attacking something with like a face kind of felt bad, and we wanted it to more be like a block of ice that's programmed to attack you.
mm-hmm.
So I remember looking at, I think I took inspiration from some of I thought that the monsters in Steven Universe hit that balance really well. So I remember looking at a lot of those designs, and a lot of those are inspired by like these kind of virus structures. So I remember looking at that. I remember looking at like other kinds of creatures that don't have faces. So I remember for one of the enemies, I was looking at kind of like I thought jellyfish was an interesting inspiration, and I drew from that.
Oh,
Um,
especially for the floaters, right?
yeah, the floaters. That was the one that was kind of loosely inspired by like jellyfish, and also I was looking at because we none of us are animators, so I wanted to create kind of like creatures that didn't have legs, so that they could like when they move along, it's not like doesn't look weird because things walk, but so I looked at something that floats and something that kind of drags itself along the ground, because I figured those were pretty good um, ways to be able to make the movement without it being animated look natural.
Yeah, that was one of our like production limitations is we didn't want a huge amount of like live animations because we didn't have that sort of like skill set or time for development on the for the team.
Yeah,
Um, but I still feel like it does have a good amount of effects and movement and vibrancy to it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
those cut-ins that Janelle did for the
The
player and
characters are fantastic. Yeah, Janelle's our
yeah.
character artist. They did a really amazing job with the I both like the designs and the illustration and ways of like communicating movement and stuff with those cut-ins without having to actually have a lot of like animation.
Mhm.
Okay. And no, I'm looking at some more screenshots of like the fighty parts and the campfire parts. And at the campfire parts, like just aside from like the text box like faces, the characters don't seem to have faces. Was that like a purposeful artistic choice, or was it just something about having them at the like the talky parts that would like make having like faces difficult to like put in the game?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
during the
the
visual
in the
novel scenes.
background art, yeah. The Gigi was our background artist. I actually don't think I ever asked why they went for that decision, but I mean, I'm not them, so I can't say why they did that, but I think it works particularly well because that way we can have characters have a wide range of emotion in the little dialogue box without having to worry about updating it um, in the background itself. So I'm personally fond of the decision. I also think it helps kind of like encourage focus on the dialogue boxes and the character sprites rather than the background itself. But
Yeah.
again, I'm not Gigi, so I don't know exactly why they chose that to make that, because I don't think I ever asked them that. But yeah.
Yeah, it would be kind of like there would be 2 points of focus for a person's face with the 2 versions of the face. And then if one had an expression change and the other didn't, it'd be kind of contradictory.
Okay. And let's see. Oh yeah, why soup?
Soup's good.
Soup's amazing. Soup's tasty. I remember during the pitch when the idea was pitched to us, they were talking about how they had like a couple ideas for stretch goals, and one of them was like optional soup making mini game. And in the first meeting, we were all like, "So we have to have the soup mini game, right? Like, there's no reason to not have the soup mini game. It's absolutely a priority. We have to make sure this is in the game." And
Yeah,
like everybody was very much in agreement that we have to have soup. So
there wasn't like a huge like. Yeah, it was just we like soup. Soup's got to be in the game.
Exactly.
It was one of our, yeah. And a whole fern by that.
Okay then. And now we move on to the final part of the final question of the interview, which every past guest has always understood perfectly. So, Phi and Charles, in your opinion, is video games?
No.
All right,
I'm
then.
gonna say yes.
Okay. 2 contradictory answers.
Yeah, I feel that though. But no.
It might be controversial. They might cancel me for this. They might send the haters my way. But I think yes, video games.
Damn. You know, that's really brave, and I applaud that.
You gotta speak your truth. I don't know what to say.
All right, then. And that brings us to the conclusion of this particular episode of the Pumpkin Copter Cast. I would like to thank Phi and Charles, 2 of the peoples behind Heart of Enya, which has been out for at least a week.
About a week now, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Get it on Steam.
It's free. It's on both PC and Mac, and it's free. You have no excuse not to get it.
Yeah.
It's on Linux too, right? We have a Linux person on the
I
team.
think we have the Linux build is only on itch because of Steam weirdness.
I see.
But I'm not positive on that.
All right. Well, it's on Windows and Mac on Steam.
Definitely on Windows and Mac. I can guarantee you that much.
We got really cute Steam achievements. You should check them out. It is my purpose in life to get all 100% of them. But yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
This has been our pleasure.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So,
Roasting.
so yeah, check out Heart of Enya on Steam. Like these 2 said, it's out now. It's free. I don't know. It's just gonna be that one person who's just all about soup. Like one day you're just like someday between 7.5 to 10 years from now, the 2 of you are gonna run into a person, and then they're going to say that they made a soup specialty restaurant because of your game's focus on soup having, and you think that's
I hope so.
you
Hell
think
yeah.
that's incredible. I mean, some
should
people
check
would
out
say
our-
that's
our-
some people would say that's a bit of a stretch, but I've been doing this show for like almost 5 years, and I'm surprised that many of the people I've talked to have designed the games that I have in my collection right now. So who knows?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, you should check out our April 1st post, Cafe Enya. It'll be real.
We can
Get it.
dream maybe.
We can
Maybe
dream.
in a long time.
Yeah. We as a team will have soup. That is a guarantee.
Yes, we are going to have soup as a team when the everything is not a problem anymore.
Exactly.
So yeah, after you're done downloading Heart of Enya, if you want to do something else that's free, you can subscribe to me at youtube.com/thepumpkincoptercast or whatever. Click that subscribe button, click that bell icon. That'll let you know when I post stuff, because everyone loves extra steps, YouTube. And yeah, if for some reason after you've done those 2 free things that won't cost you any money and you have some money left over and you want to give me a money, you can go to patreon.com/thepumpkincoptercast, where for as little as $1 a month you can submit questions for me to use in future interviews when I finally remember to post every now and again on that thing. And yeah, this has been the Pumpkin Copter Cast, and as I say at the end of every show, have a gourd day, everyone.
Have
Oh,
a
that's
gourd
cute.
day.